This whole boat starts as a flat sheet of aluminum, thinner than a coin.
This is a small aluminum boat, and it's built almost entirely by hand.
Welcome back. Today, we're building an aluminum boat from a single flat sheet of metal. It all starts with a big roll of shiny marine aluminum.
A machine unrolls the metal and flattens it into smooth, straight sheets.
This aluminum is light, but it doesn't rust in the water.
A cutting head glides across the sheet, tracing the shape of the hull. It follows the plan exactly, cutting curves no hand could match.
First, it cuts the wide, flat bottom, the base of the whole boat.
Then the two long side panels that will form the walls.
Last comes the thick transom, the strong back where the motor bolts on.
Look how clean each cut edge is, smooth and shiny as a mirror.
Now the flat pieces need shape. That's where the bending begins. A press brake presses down and folds the flat bottom into a shallow V.
That V shape helps the little boat slice smoothly through the water.
The same press folds a sharp crease along each side, called a chine.
The chine is where the bottom meets the side. It keeps the boat steady.
Then rollers give the side panels a gentle outward curve. Up front, the metal is bent to form the pointed bow. Every piece is shaped. Now they just need to come together.
But first, the boat needs a skeleton to hold its shape.
A machine cuts and bends narrow aluminum strips into a set of curved ribs.
These ribs run across the boat and give the thin metal its strength.
Long strips called stringers run the other way, front to back.
Workers set the bottom onto a strong frame called a jig.
The jig holds every single part in exactly the right spot. Now the real building starts. Piece by piece, the boat takes shape.
First, workers stand the two side panels up against the edges of the bottom. Small clamps hold the pieces tight while the welders get ready. A welder runs a bright bead along the seam where the panels meet. The torch melts the edges together into one solid piece of metal. Watch the glowing puddle follow the tip in a smooth, even line.
Every seam has to be perfect, or the boat could leak.
Next, they weld the thick transom onto the back of the hull. Inside, the curved ribs are dropped in and welded to the bottom. Some boats are riveted instead. A tool hammers each rivet flat and tight. Row after row of rivets locks the metal panels together.
Slowly, the flat sheets turn into something that looks like a hull.
Then a few workers carefully flip the whole hull right side up.
And just like that, a pile of flat metal is finally a boat. There it is, a real hull from flat sheets. Would you build one? Tell me below.
Now the boat gets the parts that make it useful and strong.
Workers weld long strips along the bottom to protect it from rocks.
These runners also help the boat slide straight through the water.
Then bench seats are welded across the middle of the boat. These seats also tie the two sides together and add strength. Up front, workers add a small flat deck for standing and fishing.
At the back, a low wall keeps water out of the boat.
Now a worker grinds every rough weld down until it's smooth and even.
Sparks fly as the grinder erases every bump and ridge.
Slowly, the rough gray seams turn into clean, smooth silver lines.
The hull is done. But is it truly watertight? Time to find out.
Workers carry the bare hull over to the testing area.
They fill the inside of the boat with water, right to the top.
Then they check every seam closely, looking for even one drop.
If a single weld leaks, it goes straight back to be fixed. But this hull holds tight. Not a single drop gets through.
The water drains out, and the boat passes its very first test. The hull just passed its leak test. Would you trust it on the water? Comment below.
Now the whole boat gets scrubbed and cleaned, ready for its new color.
Workers wipe every inch so the paint will stick perfectly.
Then the hull rolls into a bright, sealed spray booth.
A worker sweeps the spray gun in smooth, even passes. The bare silver metal disappears under a deep coat of green.
Watch the whole boat change color in just a few passes. Oh. The paint dries hard and tough, ready for years on the water.
For those, a buffer polishes the aluminum until it shines like a mirror.
Then workers add the small numbers every boat needs by law.
Now the boat looks finished, but it's still just an empty shell.
Time to add the parts that make it ready to drive.
Workers bolt a small control console onto one side of the boat.
They fit a steering wheel and connect it to the back with cables. Soft padded seats drop into place for the driver and a friend.
Small metal cleats are bolted on to tie the boat to a dock.
A drain plug goes into the back to let water out later.
A soft rubber strip is added around the top edge as a bumper.
Then comes the most important part of the whole boat, the motor. Workers lift the outboard motor and hang it on the transom.
They bolt it down tight and connect the fuel and controls.
A quick test spins the propeller to make sure it runs.
And now the little boat is completely finished and ready for the water.
From a flat sheet to a finished boat. Be honest, did you know this? Subscribe.
The finished boat is loaded onto a trailer and rolled outside. A truck backs the trailer slowly down a ramp toward the lake. The back of the trailer dips under, and the boat starts to float. For the first time, the boat lifts free and sits on the water.
A worker climbs in and turns the key. The motor rumbles to life.
The propeller bites the water and the boat eases away from the ramp. Then the driver opens it up and the little boat leaps forward. It rises up and skims fast across the top of the water. A clean white wake spreads out wide behind the speeding boat. From a flat metal sheet to this, gliding across the lake. And that's how an aluminum boat gets made. Thanks for watching. See you next time.